One.
Welcome to She Blaze, where we're bringing you cannabis culture from a woman's point of view. As always, here to elevate the cannabis industry. I'm one of your hosts, Ice Dawson, Cannabis Socialite.
And I am Dasheeda Dawson, the WeedHead. Welcome to another week of She Blaze.
Right, because this Mercury retrograde is for real getting to me.
You must be high on that.
I know
Okay,
that's right.
what we doing this week?
Well, on today's episode of She Blaze, Nevada releases another consumer advisory warning. We learn about politicians that want to normalize cannabis use and 5 helpful tips on selecting quality CBD products.
Ooh, okay. We got a great episode coming up. I'm so excited to jump in. But of course, I want to kick things off with the high of the week. What I could tell you is not high is our current internet situation, which is why you can't see Miss Ice. But those of us joining on SoundCloud, iTunes, or iHeart Radio can certainly hear, and you can find us there anytime. I'm high on the fact that I have been meeting so many new cannabis entrepreneurs on the Sharing Success in Cannabis tour. I just got back from Chicago, and I can tell you, just talking to people who have such a vision for themselves and how they want to use the book was just very inspiring for me. I can't wait to finish the second installment in the WeedHead workbook series, which is the real science of cannabis. And of course, I've just been, again, in awe of the folks that are coming in new to the industry. We just are finishing up our February cohort of the Intro to Cannabis Business course, and March is now available for registration. So I'm just high on how many people are getting into the industry, and the fact that they want to utilize our resources and our education to give themselves the best chance of success makes me that much higher.
Well, that is a great thing to be high on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's awesome. I don't really have a high of the week, so I think we should get in these hot topics because that might get me high.
Okay, let's jump in. What's number one?
Okay, well, we are talking. This is a huge trend in the cannabis industry lately. An NBA legend, Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas has acquired partnership with Vessels Oils, a CBD product manufacturer based in Colorado.
Okay, come on through, Isaiah.
Yeah, well,
Welcome to the marijuana movement, or the cannabis community, I should say.
right. Well, this is just a trend that's happening we see in every market. And, he really enjoys using cannabis, CBD specifically. And so it is excited to see that he wants to merge his celebrity with this business.
Mhm.
Now, the CBD manufacturing company does typically gels and topicals, which we know is like one of the easiest way to infiltrate the market.
Yep.
Thomas also brought along his son as he becomes the head of marketing director for the company as well.
Wow. So he's definitely putting some skin in the game here. I'm excited to see more former athletes, pro athletes get into the industry. I got to shout out, of course, Marvin Washington, because he's a friend and because he's a pioneer in the space in terms of really stepping out and in support of cannabis legalization and CBD usage. This is not uncommon, though. This is like one of those things where it's part of the trend currently, where we're seeing more and more of these athletes. And I think it's really smart, especially for the retired ones, as you're realizing, hey, this actually works for me and my ailments, and let me try to capitalize on the success I've had with regaining some of my health, and pass that along. I would hope that that is some of his thinking, but odds are it's also about creating more wealth, and generational at that, which is, why it's smart that he brought along his son. Let me ask you a question. What do we know about the company, Vessel Oils? I mean, to be honest, I've never heard of them before, and it was definitely interesting as you sent out the notes, and I was like, who is this company? I know it's not a Black-owned company, that's for sure.
No,
Um,
it's nothing but regular old what you think runs cannabis companies look like. I actually had never heard of them either. I'm very interested to see, what they're like once they pop up in the market. I did have to Google them, but yeah, girl, there's a picture of the C-suite, including Isaiah and his son, and those are the brownest people in the photo. Is all I will say.
Gotcha. Well, again, I'm not afraid of being the only in the room, and have in many different industries, and I'm sure Isaiah has some experience as well in this case. But I would like to see us support more people of color in the industry. I mean, at this point, we got you could throw a stone to the nearest CBD opportunity. I don't know where he's at right now, but the fact that he's even looking in Colorado, which, by the way, is not really the best place to really go after hemp cultivation. It's one of the places, and certainly one of the starting places for marijuana. But if you're talking about CBD, I mean, personally, I would be going to Oklahoma. That's where I would actually be growing my hemp.
Well, to be fair, their facility, even though they're based out of Colorado, their facility and their manufacturing facility is based in Oklahoma, girl. So that was a
See,
good
I
guess.
mean, well, then that already gives them a little bit of an extra check for me. It seems as though this is probably a company that probably has marijuana roots based in Colorado, right? And was smart to try to look at the hemp market, and they did so smartly. So I can't, I can't talk junk about that, because the truth is there are some markets that would just be better if you're trying to get into hemp-based CBD. So that makes sense. And I think my one, again, pet peeve is that we have these smaller companies where people of color have started, and at this point the race is on. Everybody is pretty viable, as long as you have some of the credential skill set to complete the work, to execute it the highest possible way. And especially when you're going to take your own family members and make them part of the executive team. I'm curious, and this is where digging is required. I just wasn't probably that curious, but I would be curious to know what Isaiah Thomas's son's background is. Like, do you have an MBA? Have you done marketing for other companies? Because I was just in Chicago, and I was talking about the 4 C's that you need to bring into the cannabis space, that I think my workbook helps with that mindset. And one of them is credentials and credibility. And I find that in the cannabis space, because it is a new market, certainly more so 4 years ago than today, a lot of people come in reinventing themselves. And so I'm just curious again about what his background is, and hopefully it is aligned with what they're asking him to do. Because at the end of the day, not knowing this company, they're definitely going to have to jump in the market in a big way with their marketing strategy to compete appropriately.
I definitely agree. I mean, marketing is not that hard. So, he's not the operators person. So, I don't know. But I do see this as a big trend in the cannabis industry, and it's definitely getting endorsed by a celebrity. But do they know what they're endorsing? And so this really helps lead into our second hot topic, which is about Nevada giving out the second state health advisory to the public about 20 or more tainted marijuana products. And this is sold all over Nevada, but particularly a lot of that cannabis has been sold in Las Vegas.
Hmm. Um, it sounds like Nevada is really struggling. I mean, ever since we moved there, it's been a struggleville, a struggle completely in terms of what's happened with the market. This is scary though, because it's a high tourist market. And so what we don't realize is that even though I'm worried about the locals, I'm more worried about people who come in and you come in for a weekend and then that's what you maybe leave with, or if that's what you do, or you used it and then you leave with that experience, maybe aftermath, which might be that you are getting sick. It's a little bit confusing also why it keeps happening, because if we've, seen it in the previous 6 months, what are the steps that are being taken to rectify it? And that is where I haven't heard any news coming out of the offices, the state offices that manage the cannabis program. And if Nevada is really going to explode as far as tourism is concerned, from the two new industries that are emerging in the state, which is the NFL and cannabis, they've got to fix this. They've got to fix it quickly, because next year the Super Bowl will be in Vegas. And so the reality is that there's no time for tainted marijuana products when that amount of volume is coming to the state, and the potential for what the cannabis industry can bring as far as tax revenue.
Well, honestly, they're not. Their state Department of Taxation said that it did a second test, and that is when it found the high levels of mold and yeast fungus. And so that means that basically, after the first initial test, they've packaged it up, they passed it, put it on the shelves, they tested it again, and now they're finding all these things. So it also lets you know, like, they aren't preserving their flower that well.
Mm-hmm.
So, even though no illnesses have been reported, at the end of the day, honestly, it's because of how the market is set up. Everyone wants to hire their homeboys or this person they heard about through this person, but they're not actually opening it up to, like you said, people with the right credentials.
Right, exactly. So I've had the same experiences, when I visited there as well. Other markets are set up the same exact way too. And so I definitely understand that it's been about a lot of nepotism. We've seen it in some of the companies that we've supported. And what I think is so funny is that while we've seen it, we still kind of deal with the fact that we're a family business ourselves. And, I look to certainly for projects to hire my sister or someone I trust and know. I don't know, though, that I'm doing so at the detriment of what the outcome has to be, or even not aligning like what the person's skill set is. At the end of the day, I definitely am not interested in putting in just a homeboy or homegirl into a position, but then it not turn out well. And it sounds like that's what's happening here. And in due time, that's all going to shake out, because consumers and people like ourselves are going to be speaking out about it. And I think that the state is going to have to fix it quickly, again, because there's so much happening in the next year that really can drive a lot of revenue for the state. And this is a big part of it. They've got to figure out how to get the flower right here. Since we cannot import, it's just a necessity.
True. Well, just for people that are still curious, the testing lab was called Kennex Nevada LLC. It's an independent marijuana testing facility that provided passing test results for the cultivators, which they named over 20 strains in their actual advisory, which are still currently being sold today, like TK Star Dog Haze, Jack Herrera, which we would have been real sad about if we got that one.
Yeah.
And Blue Zittles, which, I mean, do you remember if anybody went to MJ BizCon and you visited any of the big dispensaries, then Blue Zittles was on sale heavy during December. So,
So the question is, did they know? And that's why they were trying to get it off the shelf. Are we just last to know because we're the consumers? I'm a little bit like questioning that. I mean, 40,000 individuals came to Vegas just for MJ BizCon, and yeah, if this was one of the strains, and as we know in Vegas, the market, there's a lot of strain repetition, right? Every cultivator is growing the same thing, which in and of itself is a problem and needs some differentiation and innovation. But in this particular case, yeah, remember seeing these on, that particular strain on sale, and it just feels like, were they looking to unload them knowing that they were going to be called off the shelves anyway?
You are definitely right about that. We don't know, and we don't. If that means if they knew in December and they were trying to get it off the shelf, that means then they probably shouldn't have passed their first test. So hopefully that is not the case. But honestly, like we know about so many things, uh, it always might be the case. But
I mean, the cannabis space is a little bit sus. I have to be honest. There's so many places, like, I mean, the federal government has had a patent on cannabidiol since 2003, right? We're just now.
yeah, you're right about that. I mean, I've been going to a lot of cannabis community events out here, and I will tell you the type of head of the cultivation sites and dispensaries that I hear speak make me even more nervous for our industry as their session starts next year. And that's all I will say.
Well, that sounds like an offline conversation for me to really get the tea. My experience so far has been that I have been underwhelmed by the cultivation capabilities of most folks that I've met in the Nevada region. Unfortunately, I think one, there's a lack of just understanding on preserving energy too, right? Because everything is like an indoor grow, and I don't necessarily know that I'm seeing that. And as a result of some of the lack of innovation in the space, you're seeing everybody grow the same strains. I haven't really seen also a really great like brand that I can always go to that has good terpene profiles. We're seeing a little bit more of that, but other markets certainly we're starting to feel and really see folks talk more about terpenes and what their importance is to the experience of cannabis consumption. And then, of course, this focus on the higher THC levels is really like, I mean, I know that that's what they think tourists want. And if I have anything to do with it and we have anything to do with it, that's not what consumers are going to be asking for, because we're going to educate them on the whole plant. But it's like, dog, nobody wants 37% or 34%, especially if we can't prove it really is the case. Some of those particular flower strains have fallen short. And I'll be real, the market has gone down. Our first time going out to MJ BizCon back in 2016, I believe, the flower was just so much better. I mean, we're still dry, right? Because it's Nevada, but in terms of just what the assortment was and what options there were, it was absolutely a lot better. And I think part of it has been going legal, if you will, fully, as opposed to in a medical way. Because we did the reciprocity with Arizona's medical card, but going legal has definitely hindered some folks with keeping up with the market. And it just manifests itself in a different way in Vegas. First, it was distribution out the gate in 18, but then over time, I feel like this cultivation issue is going to be part of what makes that market lag. And I hope they get it together, because Super Bowl's next year, and that's a lot of mana, that's a lot of coin that would be spent on cannabis. And I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about the people who want to come and enjoy the Super Bowl in Vegas.
I mean, unlike California, where they basically have, people that are like cultivators from lineage and lineage passed down, and then, super flower, and then legalization hit. Not for nothing, these cultivations don't really have the same lineage as they do in a lot of California things. And also, we may be trying to tell people, look at the terpenes, the whole entourage effect, but you honestly in Vegas cannot. Literally, legit, we have had 3 different strains by each other that's side by side that have no name the same, made by different brands, and they all have exact same terpene profile and percentage. So that lets me know that we need to come at it from a better perspective as we try to make labs and create legal testing. We have to understand how to test this plant, because there is no way that these three plants that do not have the same phenotype, nothing, have the same doggone terpenes and percentage, and they're by different companies. Nah, we
It's
need
a
to have a
very low chance of
conversation.
that. It could be mislabeled. I mean, okay, so I'm just going to play devil's advocate real quick before we move on to the next hot topic. You're right. I think part of it is because the testing facilities have no idea what they're doing, or they think they know, and then it's like you really don't know. And I'm not trying to say every single one, but just there's a little bit of worry that there's, just either incompetence or fraudulence is one or the other, and neither is good in this case, right? But to be a devil's advocate, it could also be that just in the process of the way packaging is, maybe there's mislabeling, but because we've seen so many stories come out of Nevada related to some of the testing facilities losing their licensing, the issue related to the mold and such coming back, maybe, it's possible, even though they're storing it, maybe the cause of second testing mold found. It's also just possible that they didn't do a sensitive enough test the first time, and it was their pores mold, which is fungus. They usually have like pores or sporics that kind of grow, and you start to see them. I'm not, again, a botanist, and that's not what I do for sure, but I know that there are different things that we use in agriculture to prevent it from getting to this point. And it's like, well, what's happening that's missing in the cannabis space? It could be
True
many
that.
places in the supply chain, but I definitely agree with you. Testing is one of them that I would be looking at for sure.
Right. Yeah, so I agree with what you're saying. You play devil's advocate for sure. But I think we need our labs to be a lot more serious, because there's big money in cannabis. And you want to hear how?
How?
Well, that brings me to topic number 3. Colgate just bought one of our favorite products, and that is called Hello Products LLC, which is a oral care brand in the United States. And it is very well known for having it be infused with hemp seed oil, which we will definitely talk more about in our main topic. And it has great things like charcoal, coconut, and it's all natural. I love it. It's one of my faves.
Definitely one of my faves. I was excited to find it, and its proliferation on how quickly it's gotten distribution has been like amazing. I remember the first time I found it, it was actually on a clearance shelf in either like a Marshalls or a TJ Maxx, which, by the way, means that it was bought by a larger retailer, but it didn't really probably sell. They probably overbought it, and then they winded up doing off sale to one of the outlets, if you will. And that was my first time seeing it. And then all of a sudden it was in Target. And then all of a sudden it was in Walgreens. And then all of a sudden it was everywhere. And so I think it's pretty awesome that it is being acquired. That's essentially anytime you start a product line, that's going to be your end goal, because we have so many really big consumer product companies or consumer packaged goods, CPG companies in the United States and abroad, that they're often growing by acquisition. And like in the last 10 years, that's been the real trend, not to try to make it yourself or do it internally, but to acquire a brand that's already capturing that market or doing it well. And in this case, they're definitely capturing folks like us who are, looking for something all natural. It was one of the first brands I've ever seen that had anything cannabis related in a toothpaste. And the hemp seed oil, which, again, we'll talk about in the main topic, but hemp seed is good for you. And it's definitely one of my favorite toothpastes, like for real. I used to love the Listerine one because it was like a mouthwash, but I'm definitely very eager to try to understand what is going to pan out with this acquisition by Colgate.
I know that's right. I actually, it's so funny because as I read this press release, I realized Colgate actually owns a lot of stuff, not just toothpaste. But under Hello Products, they have adult and kids toothpaste, mouthwash, toothbrushes, and floss. I'm really curious about the floss because if they figured out a way to infuse it with or have some hemp derived product in it, it'd be curious because, like, I don't know about you, I literally hate food in between my teeth, but I do have like the worst. I hate flossing because sometimes I go so hard that it like just makes my gums bleed like crazy, and so like seeing if there's anything that they could add that's kid friendly, I would see how it would really help you in your oral care overall.
I agree. I mean, you know me, I have various autoimmune issues, and last like 3 years, it definitely attacked my gums and my mouth the most. I actually started like rinsing my mouth out with CBD oil to help with the inflammation in the gums. And this right now, the last maybe 18 months has been the healthiest that my teeth have been. I definitely want to just reiterate, none of this is FDA approved and we're not doctors or dentists, but you know, our anecdotes are really, you know, viable because we're conscious cannabis consumers. We don't just use anything. I love the Hello brand mainly because it has a charcoal with hemp seed fusion, and it makes my teeth really feel squeaky clean, and my gums feel really clean as well. I'm excited because this means that they can rapidly expand. An acquisition often is a cash infusion and ability to no longer be worried about sort of the you know, having a smaller operating budget. They've done a lot with a little as an independent brand, and now they're going to like really blow up, and I think that'll allow them to really dive deeper into some of these other categories. They even have a toothbrush that is made of charcoal, and it has it infused. I would love, and this is really forward thinking, and I don't know if they're there yet since they're only using hemp seed, but it would be great if some of these things were made from hemp, right? Like we know that there's textile capabilities there, and I think that's what you were alluding to with the floss, because that's absolutely something that can be made from hemp. And if nothing else, it makes it more sustainable and better for the environment. On the like worst case scenario, that's all we gain from it. But in the best case scenario, like some of the toothpicks we're seeing infused with CBD, it can help with swelling and inflammation that happen in between the teeth, especially after you've picked out piece of chicken. That's usually what's getting stuck in my mouth. But yeah, that there's the sky's the limit now that they have such a big brand, Colgate, behind them. And so we can count Colgate among a lot of giants like Coca-Cola, Estee Lauder, even Marlboro, that have stepped somehow, whether it's dipped a toe, a pinky toe, whatever, inside the cannabis space. And all we're going to see is more and more, as soon as they get comfortable, more and more you know, people like these big companies start to come in. I'm excited. It's definitely a step in the right direction.
It's for sure a step in the right direction. So I'm excited as well. Mine is not my favorite's not the charcoal. My favorite is the hemp seed oil infused with the coconut. Because charcoal, you know, all white just gets all over the place, brushing my teeth.
Yeah.
But as you said, all these big companies and really well-known companies names, it just reminds me cannabis is still becoming mainstream, and so we definitely need more politicians to support this as it continues to get bigger and bigger. And I literally found out about this Democratic congressional candidate out of Illinois, and he stopped me in my tracks, and I'm like, oh, we got to talk about him on She Blaze. So our topic number 4 is about Anthony Clark. He is he's running for the 7th congressional district out of Illinois. This brother is a Air Force veteran, community organizer, and teacher. And guess what he is too? A out and public cannabis consumer. And so I definitely had to shout him out because, you know, here on She Blaze, we don't just throw digs at the politicians that need it. We also highlight the politicians that are here for bringing our industry forward. Um, so shout out to him.
Yeah, I mean, real shout outs. I mean, I'm glad you brought this person forward because I had no idea who he was. I was just in Chicago, and clearly Illinois just legalized, and they've already run out of flour. Just so you know, there's no flour in the dispensaries in
I
Illinois.
could believe it. You only got 3 cultivators.
I'm just saying there's no flour. Let's be again. But aside from all the issues that they're having with some of their adult use implementation, there's also the fact that we've had a little bit of scandal around some of the politicians with the whole, what was it, Wakana University. I mean, we haven't been looking that great. I would say that this is just a candidate. He obviously hasn't won yet, but I think it's a step in the right direction. Certainly for people who are younger, millennials or Generation Z, like our nephew who's 18, who probably would vote for someone like this. We already know, like, probably the majority of folks 55 and older is gonna be like, oh, he smoked weed. Oh no. When you said that he was a teacher, I was like, really? And they're letting him do that, and he smokes weed. Like, there's already, like, because I'm older, I still have some of these same conditioning questions that immediately come in my mind, and I kind of slap myself on the wrist and kind of think, well, who cares? Like, I mean, we already know that our mom was a teacher, a principal at the highest levels of nonprofit management, and you consume cannabis all the time. So he's right to come out the closet. He's right to lift the shame. It's not a sin. It doesn't make you a bad person. And we've got to have more people who are prominent like this man to come forward. I'm appreciative of it because I know working with so many cannabis companies, and then you have like the C-suite, you try to talk about cannabis and all of them are novices or they don't really know what they're talking about. It's a little bit scary, actually. And so if anything, I feel like he would at least be able to better legislate around cannabis. I can't talk about what else he knows, although being a community organizer and a teacher and an Air Force veteran, my guess is he probably could help quite a bit across the board, but it does help change perception above all. And so I'm definitely very curious about what he's done so far to help move that perception along.
Well, he has made cannabis a key priority in his campaign. And he released a video for what he calls the first ever congressional weed party. So, he wants to be transparent about it and he wants to make change outside of cannabis, but all areas in which his district can really see some change come to it. So, I am really hoping that not only do yes my young counterparts vote for him, but I need y'all older people to start voting better too, because y'all are not doing a good job. Y'all are not.
People, oh word, that's fighting words, bruh. What
Listen,
you talking about?
you know what I'm talking about, dude. History. So you know what I'm saying? All I'm saying is that I think that older people should definitely embrace him because not only does he use marijuana and he's transparent about it, he actually is known for making changes within his community. And that I can appreciate. Now, this is his second time running, and he lost the last time to this other candidate who is currently holding the seat right now. His name is something Davis. And that guy says he is pro cannabis, but actually, if history is proving itself, he hasn't really done anything for cannabis in that community. And, he's been in that seat since the late 90s. So he's really just needs to let it go, like the Frozen song. He is black. But that don't mean we don't need to let it go.
We have a lot of that happening in New York as well, where we have people who have had seats forever. And, Imani is very clear on this, right? Like, if you don't want to change or you don't want to conform, then we can vote you out. And this is exactly that. That person, especially now that Illinois is legal, and we talk so many times about the different things that especially Black and Hispanic residents of Illinois have to concern themselves with. Like, for example, Chicago Housing Authority specifically saying, hey, hey, guess what? Marijuana is still banned here. It's great that it's legal, but it's still banned here. These are the things that you want to see your legislators kind of work on over time and figure out, how do we better regulate? How do we work with other public agencies? Now, granted, I think we're going to be federally legal sooner rather than later, and some of that goes away. But having someone in place that says that they are supporting cannabis legalization but isn't actually putting action behind the words is always concerning, because right now we need action more than anything else. We don't have the capability to stall any longer. Stalling is why their market opened with no Black folks, right? Because no Black folks really came to the table when it was just medical. And so it is just important for us to recognize that this guy not only is bringing about a different perspective and change, but he actually, as a consumer, probably knows better about the consumer market in Illinois, and therefore can help support really building out legislature and frameworks that will make the market successful. We haven't seen a successful market yet. Like I just said, Illinois don't got no flower. So good luck. Like that's already in most markets, 40 to 55% of the sales. So, it's just, I get frustrated sometimes because I realize that we're so close, but yet so far. And with politics being involved in it, I want us to have real honest discussions. Right now, for example, we have all the presidential candidates, all of them, including current president, talking about cannabis in some way, trying to give us lip service in some cases. And in a lot of cases, they were unwilling to talk about their own usage. Nobody's asking that question. And I guess it doesn't matter, but I think it would make us all feel better as people who are on the ground fighting every day for patient rights, for the new face of cannabis. It would make us feel better if we actually had folks really representative of us in these seats.
All I think is if he had been in the office sooner, maybe there'd be more diversity. Period. So, y'all could keep voting for the same people in the same seats over and over again and see the same results. Or y'all could actually pick someone that is transparent about who they are, why this doesn't make them any worse or any better, and actually doing real work. So, not for nothing, I am really disgusted about where our politics are in this country at this point. And I feel a little offended because this is not what we were taught in school. And so I am glad we are able to have shine a light of hope somewhere. And hopefully, more people that are looking to come into politics or looking to take seats that have been literally had for the last 10, 15, 20 years, become more transparent about who they are, because I think that's the only way that we're going to see real change in our communities.
Absolutely. And, we're real serious about our cannabis consumption. And I think as soon as they start admitting that real, like, people are consuming and we're not evil, right? I think we'll start to move the needle a lot more. But that always is why we have our, educational moments. And that's why I'm excited about the main topic, because, CBD is like this craze that's sweeping the entire country. It is the gateway or the hack for folks who are interested in cannabis, but don't necessarily want to deal with some of the legalities or the concerns around the high and so on and so forth. So I want to get into our main topic with the rest of our time, where we talk about the 5 tips on helping consumers really spot useless CBD products, right? Because it has become like, it's prolific at this point in terms of how quickly it's integrating into the market. It reminds me of the ingredient bubble when everybody was trying to put acai berry in everything. And now we have CBD as that ingredient. And I'm excited because, again, it opens the door to different conversations, but we have a lot of risk in that as well, because you have some perpetrators and you want to make sure that you get the best products that you possibly can get. So let's jump into why you decided this was going to be a main topic. I see why already to some degree, but what we think are some of these tips for our listeners to take away.
Well, what really sparked my interest in this topic was after seeing some very interesting CBD quote unquote infused products pop up on our social media. And then, a few cannabis publications release their opinion of weirdest CBD products on the market.
Mhm.
you know, uh, to be able to express this to our listeners because they may not read cannabis publications, to be honest, to really let them understand, what they're buying, what they're doing. Because I don't know about you, but I know I don't want my aunts or my cousins to call me up and be like, girl, let me tell you about these CBD leggings I got that just make my butt look so big. And I'm gonna be like, you could have got some Fashion Nova leggings that made your butt look big.
But lift. I'm sorry. Well, that is really, really, really insane. But you're right though, because I have been shout out to Andrew Muir, who is from Top Shelf Bud Tending, and he has been giving me like my own personal life back all the way on social media every time he tries one of these new products, and like he legitimately tries it and then gives his feedback, and it's usually like, this ain't really what it is. But yeah, we don't want that for our family. So let's jump into tip number one. I think tip number one for me is obviously important because it's science based.
Well, it is definitely be be aware of the difference between hemp seed oil or cannabis sativa seed oil and the actual cannabis you're smoking or the marijuana you think you're buying from a hemp CBD store.
First of all, hemp is cannabis. So when you're talking about cannabis, you're talking about hemp or marijuana. And cannabis is the plant, not the molecule. And so sometimes you'll see things that are saying it's cannabis infused, and you got to then ask, well, which type of cannabis and what part of that plant is infused. On the hemp derived side, which is the side that's actually legal thanks to the Farm Bill, there's a lot of different places that you can actually infuse from, but not every place has cannabinoids, and that's the molecule like CBD, which is the molecule in question. If it's supposed to be a CBD infused product, then you need to make sure that it's coming from the part of the hemp plant that actually has CBD. So in that case, while hemp seed oil is absolutely a cannabis product, and so you will see cannabis sativa oil on the back, it is not the place that has an abundant amount of cannabinoids. You don't get CBD from the hemp seed. However, you can get some from the stalk, not a lot, but it comes from the leaves. Same place that you would get CBD and THC in marijuana, from the leaves, the bud. And so most places or most brands that are now marketing themselves as having hemp infused, you got to read that label, because hemp seed is probably what they're infusing. It's a lot cheaper. And guess what? We've been doing it. That Indian hemp,
Okay.
that's hemp seed oil. The Indian hemp hair grease, that's hemp seed oil. Just FYI. So it's good for you. It's definitely good for you dietary wise and for your skin and for your hair, but it's not CBD. Okay. And therefore shouldn't have that same price point. That's really where they're getting folks. They're charging folks for the CBD price point, and it's really hemp seed.
Yo, seriously. And I mean, like, I'm not going to tell you how many times I'm walking through Sephora or Ulta and they're like, our CBD section. And it's like this tower of straight everything being hemp seed oil or cannabis sativa seed oil. And I'm just like, boy, give me a break. First of all, I'm not paying $80 for this.
That's
So,
one.
our second tip is CBD specifically being infused in cloth would need more instruction than what they're just promoting on social media. So, if it's something that is, a hemp textile, so it's a hemp cloth, then it should say that. But if it's just CBD infused, like they're going to have to give you some basically what's this product made of.
Yeah, I have seen that in leggings. I've seen it in sheets. I've seen it in a number of different Yeah, and a number of different products, and it's a little bit concerning to me because mostly you don't know what you're getting. You don't know what's been manufactured. Let me just also dispel a couple myths. Is that like, oh, how do I get CBD in a cloth? Well, you can make things that have certain molecules infused. I have, like I said, constantly a neuropathy in my left leg. When I fly a lot, I wear copper infused socks to help with the blood circulation because the socks have a charge thanks to the copper. And so when you infuse the socks with that, copper, it's really a threadish kind of infusion, and it's allowing the socks to take on some of the properties of copper. Well, I'm just curious, and again, this is something that maybe we haven't studied it, and I don't want to be a big naysayer, but as a person who's a molecular biologist, I kind of went like, when I heard about CBD infused leggings, because I'm like, to what end is this infused? Like, what is the purpose here? How does the leggings with the CBD included help? Is it a topical? Does it like release a certain amount onto the body over a certain amount of time? Does it make the cloth have a better integrity, which I've never heard, as far as CBD properties are concerned? With copper, I know it has a charge, and therefore it can impact the blood, right? Because blood is charged. But if we don't know what CBD does beyond like what we're seeing, and we know, it's a neuroprotectant once we ingest it, anti-inflammatory, it's relaxing for sure because it's anti-anxiety, but that's not just when you put it on your skin for anxiety. That's not when you put it on your clothes. So I'm just curious. I mean, it sounds a little crazy, but I would say just beware of that. As soon as you see that, look and ask for more questions rather than just buy blindly and think a miracle is going to happen.
I can completely agree. Um, and our third tip is to look for specific dosage of the cannabis as an active ingredient. So, like, when you buy your cold and sinus pills, you look on the back to see what's the active ingredient, what's it made with, what does the directions say. And
Yes.
so we suggest you do the same thing for cannabis or quote unquote CBD infused, and really use that same cap that you are using for buying cold medicine for buying some of these products.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. For me, dosage, that probably is like tip number one. If it doesn't say anything about how many milligrams per milliliter or total milligrams, and then it also has the volume in it, like don't buy anything that's not labeled well. That labeling should include a full panel on the back on what it's made of and what are the active ingredients and what percentage it should have. And cannabis, CBD specifically, is an active ingredient. And so it should include a percentage. Sometimes you'll see 20% or 20 milligrams of hemp. Well, that doesn't tell us, again, the CBD volume unless you know what percentage of CBD was in that hemp. So if you have 20 milligrams of hemp in general and it was made from a strain that is only 25% CBD, then only 25% of that 20 milligrams is actually CBD. So it's a lot less. These are the basic math and science sort of potency and dosage that you learn in school. And I feel like it's important and it's expected in the consumer market for a brand to convey that to a potential patient or consumer.
That is, honestly, that's how you build customer loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
And, as you're looking for specific dosages, if they may not have them, if they do have them, definitely see if there's a certificate of analysis to prove that it's the accurate amount of what the active ingredient of cannabis. I think that even though we can't hold our labs to too much standards, it still is going to be helpful as you use the cannabis products and making sure it's legit.
Well, I don't want to say that every place is like Nevada for sure. A lot of this is just basic science. And if you're getting your products that are coming from a good manufacturing practice facility, then and they have certification, then they do all of this type of testing anyway. And a COA is just par for course. So COA or certificate of analysis is expected. And yeah, that if I had to choose between one that has dosage, but there's no COA and one that has dosage and has it, I would go with the one that has it. So it's sort of a stepwise way to say if you're choosing between brands. But I think this is why I like Lock and Key so much, because they have, which we sell, they have the QR code on the back, and you can pull up the COA from anywhere whenever you want from on your phone.
Well, even if they are definitely in-house, but most people are surprised to even know like their face cream for Olay or Estee Lauder, a lot of places that you're picking up, face cream, they have a COA too. You go online and you look deep in their website, and if you looking, you'll find it, and then you'll know what their products are made with and what is the percentage of it. So these are things that could be taken over in mainstream. And so if you could find your face cream with the COA, I want to be able to find my CBD infused face cream with a COA.
Absolutely. No, I think that's what I call points of parity. I'm constantly preaching about that, and we talk about that in the book as well. Now, tip number 5, drum roll, because I'm looking at our time and I definitely want to make sure we get that in.
Mm-hmm. It is purchased from a trusted retailer.
Of
Um,
course.
You know, I mean, honestly, if you know that this product is always good whenever you get it, no matter what, then you could definitely be trusted that if they're infusing it with quote unquote CBD, then it should be good too.
That's so true. I mean, I think that's the biggest challenge in cannabis right now. There are no trusted brands or very little trusted brands. Slowly but surely, we'll see that shift. But right now, we have like a little bit of a shaking out. And it's not just happening on the hemp side, it's happening on the marijuana side in a big way. The hemp side needs that. But I'm hoping to God that it's not the FDA that does it. It has to be us as the consumers. It's what you decide to buy and what you demand from your brands. I definitely think that there are a few brands that are getting it right and that are spot on. I really like, for example, Papa Barkley. They are a marijuana brand out in California, one of the largest, but they also have a CBD line, or almost everything they have a version of CBD, which allowed it to go to all 50 states. And they keep the brand continuity. You know what you're going to get, and you get what you expect. Those are the type of ways that you build brand loyalty and brand trust, and more brands need to step up and do that, definitely in the hemp derived CBD market.
Yes, they do. And so I'm enjoying the CBD brands. And even though they consider it strange, it may be good for some things. I would say the number one weirdest thing I think I found was the CBD bed sheets. I was like, I'm
What's
like, not satin for, your hair, or Egyptian cotton like Uptown Girls, but like CBD infused bed sheets. I was just like, what in the heck? How much y'all want? Oh no, y'all can't have that.
I don't know what they're using it for or what the intent is. I'm still curious, because it's not like, I don't know that CBD has any properties. Like, it's not like infusing the bed with lavender or eucalyptus where there's a smell. That's the other thing, is like people don't realize that cannabis, the smell doesn't come from the cannabinoids, y'all. It comes from the terpenes. So it's not like you're going to get some like marijuana smell on your sheets and it's going to like drift you off to sleep or something. It doesn't make sheets softer. It's not like Egyptian cotton does, right? Where it's a specific kind, unless it's made from hemp. So I could go on about how silly that may seem a little bit to me, but what I will say is the biggest takeaway is that you just have to remain curious, ask a lot of questions, trust no one. So it's one of those things where you like ask questions, trust later, kind of thing, and start low and go slow. right? For whatever it is that you're
Start
trying.
low and go slow. Very interesting. Not usually what I take into mind. Anyway, but it's been an amazing episode. I think we really helped some people out here.
I hope so. And in that case, I'm hoping to help out a lot more. So I just want to remind folks that we have a lot of things going on. In addition to the Sharing Success in Cannabis tour, where we are coming to a city near you, we'll be in Portland next, and then we're headed to South by Southwest in Austin. So got big things happening in March. We also have the Cannabis Wealth Challenge going on, y'all. So remember that course I said earlier, the Intro to Cannabis Business? Well, it's only $100. But I know that that still can be prohibitive for some folks. And so we are offering to 1,000 entrepreneurs. This is a year-long challenge. We're offering 1,000 entrepreneurs the opportunity to take that course for free and help them get to their first 100K earned in the cannabis space. And together, with 1,000 entrepreneurs, 100K in revenue, we are driving $100 million worth of wealth in the cannabis space. So that's our mission with the WeedHead and Co. And so definitely go to the weedhead.com/cannabis-wealth-challenge if you want to enter. Or if you're ready to go for it, you got your $100 ready, you need to register for my March course. Classes start on March 17th. It comes with a free book, print and ebook, as well as 4 bomb lectures over 3 weeks. It's the best bet, $100, if I say so myself. But that's really my biggest takeaways, is that it's time to educate yourself and join the marijuana movement.
Oh, wow. Well, watch She Blaze on Facebook Live every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. And you can listen to us anytime on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. And be sure to subscribe to the WeedHead.com to stay up to date on what's blazing in the cannabis industry.
Whoop. Okay, so you definitely
All
want to
right.
follow me on the weedhead.com, and I'm the Cannabis CEO. I will see you guys in a city near you.
Hey.
Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.